were never one of us. You were nothing but a usurper, a false idol. My eyes have been opened. Let me help you to see, Slayer. Your honor and duty are nothing. Rip and tear until it is done. You will crush our enemies and cast down those who lead us astray. You think you are the first to challenge me? This realm is mine. You will not take it from me.
As I'm writing this, we're about a week off before Doom the Dark Ages is released, and since some of my most successful videos were about Doom, I think it was a good idea to combine all my videos in one. I've seen a lot of people do this, mostly Genji, or however you say his name, someone who I really look up to with how I make my content. This is pretty much a compilation of my videos going over the base game and the 2 Ancient Gods DLC. There are some things I do need to say however. First, it's obvious that I was barely beginning to make videos about games, so these usually have some similarities to other people's retrospectives. I think I've done better in the later videos that I've made, but still, this is something I'm trying to figure out how to make myself stand out. Another thing is that if Dark Ages is really good, I'm thinking about making a video about it, and considering everything I've seen, it seems it will be. Finally, if you somehow enjoyed this video, I'd highly recommend my Gears of War retrospective and my review of the Final Shape DLC. With that said, thank you for listening to me yapping and enjoy the video. So, Doom. A series I knew about, like everyone else, but I was never interested in. It was a franchise I really wanted to get into, but was never able to. I've heard about how good the games were, but I would never really get that invested into the series until the reveal of Doom Eternal, and that made me way more interested. And on the holidays of 2019, after the game would be officially delayed, I bought a copy in Doom 2016, and to say I loved it is an understatement. So that brings up the question, why am I talking about Doom Eternal and not 2016? I just have a lot of thoughts about this game, and I'm in the mood to talk about it. And don't get it twisted, Doom 2016 was fantastic, bringing back the series with new mechanics while keeping what made the original game unique with level design, keycards, all that kind of stuff. That game, along with Wolfenstein The New Order, gave the FPS genre a sort of renaissance when the genre began to feel incredibly stale. So after Doom 2016 stole the show with a lot of other shooters, it was clear that people like this kind of game. It's always been something that's been very appealing, especially to other indie games or other games that are inspired like Doom, such as Dusk. So id Software would go silent, and after a few years, we got Doom Eternal. When the gameplay was revealed, it was kind of shocking the new things we saw, but it was awesome. I still remember when they showed off the Phobos stage and everyone's reaction to the Doomslayer being there. And the way he just grabs the plasma rifle as well as the Archvile reveal, man, it was freaking awesome.
Holy shit! Okay, so he gets that.
The game released on the same day as Animal Crossing New Horizons, and it was one of the best memes to come out of that year, and it still is. The game was praised for the new added additions with the gameplay aspects, level design, music, quality of content, and now with all the DLCs out, and especially the Horde mode, what do we think about it? Well, let's see. My name is Solar, and this is Doom Eternal. As I haven't talked about 2016 yet, let me try and sum up what happened. You wake up in the middle of a demonic invasion. The Doomslayer is guided by Samuel Hayden, the chairman of the UAC, to help stop the invasion. And with the help of the best boy, Vega, an AI that helps you throughout the game, we're able to stop this demonic invasion. But it's a lot more difficult than we think. We learned that Dr. Olivia Pierce, one of the workers at the UAC, has an interest in how Hell can help humanity through some energy, and was the one that initiated the invasion of Hell on Mars. After breaking property and not caring, we get teleported to Hell. As we return to finally meet Samuel Hayden, we get a device that allows us to teleport back and forth from Hell, and he has us pick up an item called the Crucible. Now the goal is to grab the Crucible, stop the link from Mars and Hell, and until Olivia appears, who becomes the mastermind. After killing the mastermind, the Slayer gets teleported back to Mars, and Hayden takes the crucible. He will continue to research on it as it can prove helpful for humanity, and sends the Doomslayer somewhere. Where? I don't know. Seriously, I don't think anyone knows what happened to the Slayer until now.
Against all the evil that hell can conjure, all the wickedness that mankind can produce, we will send unto them only you. Rip and tear until it is done.
A few years go by and Earth does not look good. But I'm more curious on what happened to the moon. I haven't seen anyone talk about it and it's kind of surprising. It's literally blown in half and no one mentions it. Also, if you want to know how over the top the game is going to be, there is a pentagram on the Earth and billions of people have already died from the invasion. We see the Slayer, as I'll refer to him from now on a floating fortress in space. Where did he get this? I don't know. Vega tells us that there are hell priests that are leading the invasion, and killing them can stop this. With awesome shots and a somehow more intense rendition of At Hell's Gate, this is gonna be a bloodbath. As you can see, the game starts off with a shotgun instead of the pistol. I don't get why the pistol was a weapon in 2016, since once you got the assault rifle, it was useless, so I think this is a good change. Many aspects of the game are different, starting with the mods. You still need to find the drones to get the mods and collect upgrade tokens to unlock the upgrades for the mods. That was a mouthful for some reason. For the shotgun, the grenade mod has gone from a regular grenade launcher to a sticky grenade launcher. This can be pretty useful to get larger enemies or those that are far away. The triple shot mod has been turned into an automatic mod, which is just so much better to take down larger health enemies. It's very useful in the beginning of the game. After the arena, we oh, that's one of the hell priests.
My soul remains guarded. You can.
Well, the first health priest is already dead.
The first Hell Priest has been terminated. The demonic consumption of Earth has been reduced by 36.8%. There are 2 Hell Priests remaining.
If you can't tell from everything like the enemy designs and how things like ammo, health look, this takes on a more arcadic look, and I love it. Doom 2016 had a perfect blend of realism with the Mars facility, mixing well with the designs of the demons. I think Eternal style is a solid and natural continuation of that art style. So back to the weapons. Instead of being on the ground on a corpse, it just floats there. So there aren't really like any cool animations of you grabbing something, which is fine. The next weapon we get is the heavy cannon / assault rifle. This weapon got a few changes. The micro missiles are just as good as they were in 2016. I would say a bit better due to the increase of enemy density. The best change, however, is changing the useless scope to the precision bolt. The mod consumes 6 bullets to make a stronger one shot against some demons and can hit critical areas for some enemies. What do I mean crits? Well, in the first level, we get arachnotrons. You can use either the sticky grenade or the precision bolt to hit the turret on the head and deal immense damage, and doing so can disable certain attacks. A lot of enemies have critical areas, or like the Kanko demon, have a weakness: eating a grenade. It doesn't matter how many times I do that glory kill, it's always satisfying as hell. I did not mean for that to be a pun, I am sorry. Further on, we find a shoulder-mounted grenade launcher. The grenades can now be launched without interrupting the use of the weapons, and it just personally feels stronger. Oh, and one of the biggest changes you'll notice, the chainsaw. The chainsaw is used to scavenge ammo, but you can only hold 3 charges, while the 2016 version was able to get more charges with the ammo upgrades. The Eternal version can recharge one saw, thankfully, so you're always going to be able to use it to get ammo. I think this changes for the better. It was super OP that you can use the saw to just kill some of the bigger demons easier. I'll talk about how these changes make the game feel a lot more different from 2016 once we get a lot more items. At the end of the level, we unlock the fast travel, so we can go back to certain areas of the level to get stuff like unlockables. We take the elevator to the 2 other Hell Priests who see the head of the Hell Priest and warn the Slayer that he can't stop this invasion, and the Slayer does this to show who they're messing with.
You go too far this time. You cannot interfere.
Savathun? Okay, this is the con maker. She tells the Slayer that what is happening cannot be stopped and just walks away. She really doesn't have a lot to do with it right now. All we know is that she's a heavenly being and clearly is helping out with this demon invasion.
For it was you who was meant to enforce it.
Back at the fortress, Vega tells us that to find the next Hell Priest, we need to upgrade our Celestial Locator, and the Slayer knows he can find it in the next level, Exultia. Exultia? Exultia? Exultia. Yeah, I'm going with that. But before that, we get the Flame Belch. It's a mini flamethrower that lights enemies on fire and can drop small bits of shield health. It's an incredibly useful tool that proves essentially later on in the game. We also get these upgrade crystals. I'm not entirely sure what they're called. These are upgrades to your arsenal, such as extra time and enemies on fire. You need both the power-ups to unlock the actual upgrade, but it is nice that you can slightly increase your health and ammo with whichever item you select. So with that, we head to Exultia, a city that once belonged to the Night Sentinels. Story-wise, we meet King Novik, the king of the Sentinels, and already you can feel his presence as he's the only person who can make the Slayer kneel to him. So to put backstory from the best that I know, the Doomslayer was found one day in the outskirts of the city. The king saw his immense power in a Colosseum battle, and with an invasion of hell where he saw the outsiders' hatred against the demons, he was recruited to be a Night Sentinel. He tells the Slayer that despite the invasion, he must not kill the Hell Priest as they were once of Sentinel blood. I think we're kinda late on that one. Also, a really small thing, but I want to keep in mind what he looks like right now. I initially thought that he's dead and this is just his spirit living on, but something that happens in the DLCs makes me question this. Gameplay wise, this level introduces a lot of stuff. We get the runes back. The runes are basically mods that you can slot on that help the gameplay, but unlike in 2016 where you had to do a mini challenge to unlock the rune, and then had to do another challenge to upgrade it, you just get the mod then and there. My personal favorites are getting a glory kill faster, better movement control in the air, and staggering demons for a longer time. I chose the speed buff because I was used to it before and I really liked it, but this gameplay makes me look like the definition of ADHD. We also get the dash. It's pretty simple. You can dash from or to demons. You can be helpful to dodge attacks or get close to an enemy to glory kill them. But the best new addition is the Blood Punch. I love the Blood Punch. Getting glory kills fills up the Blood Punch, which can both clear small enemies or cause massive damage to bigger enemies. With the Blood Punch, we basically have what makes Eternal different from 2016, management of resources. You don't have much ammo, health, or shields like you do in the past game. I mean, technically you have the same health and shield. Because of the increase in intensity of the enemies, your arsenal is built to make sure you can get what you need and notice. Glory kills or later on Blood Punch for health, chainsaw for ammo, and fire for shield. During the level, we find Sentinel batteries. These can help unlock certain rooms in the fortress that can have armor sets, upgrade bots. Also, if you haven't noticed, I'm using the original Praetor suit. Nothing against the Eternal version, it's freaking beautiful. I just like the old suit, like the size of an ant more. Now that we're in hell, we get the plasma rifle. The plasma rifle got a redesign from the 2016 version to look more like the rifle from the classic games, which I personally like a little bit more just because it's bulky. You have two mods. First is the Heat Blast. Similar to the 2016 version, after shooting for a decent amount of time, it charges up a blast that can stagger some enemies or even evaporate them. The mastery version of this mod is one that I love because after shooting the charge, you get a limited time where the plasma does increase damage, and it sounds beautiful. The second is the Microwave Beam. I only find it useful for the ancient gods for what I remember, but it can easily break enemy shields and the explosion can damage surrounding enemies, so I guess it is useful. To progress the level, we need to pick up batteries to power up the robots and move or break things in our way. Unfortunately, that means going through the goo that you can't move around. Not even the dash works. It sucks, but it doesn't appear very often in game, but when it does, it's annoying. I love how over the top this game is. After some honestly Mario-ish platforming, we meet the Betrayer. The Betrayer reluctantly helps to charge the locator. He warns the Slayer too to think of what he's doing, but as he tells us about what we're doing, he asks the Slayer for something.
Hear me, Slayer. When his heart is laid to rest, then his soul will be at peace. And so will mine.
So, the Betrayer, known before as Valen, he was a Knight Sentinel that made a deal with one of the Hell Priests to bring his son back who was killed in battle and trade for some demons. After a failed defense from the Sentinels against the Hell attack, the Hell Priest brought back the Betrayer's son, but as the Icon of Sin. Yes, that Icon of Sin from Doom 2. After all that happened, he exiled himself from the Sentinels and was only remembered as the Betrayer. Also, one thing to note, the song that plays here sounds oddly familiar. It's probably in my mind. We got a few more things to talk about before we finish the level. First is the Slayer Gate. In certain levels, there's a Slayer key that you can find that leads you to the Slayer Gate. The gate is basically a small horde moment to kill everything you see in sight. The gates also spawn in more difficult enemies you won't see until later levels. After you beat the gate, you get upgrade tokens and an Empyrean key. The key is kinda useless to us right now until we grab 6 of them. Next are these challenges. There's just a quick challenge that you can do to defeat a certain amount of enemies in a timer. I see these more as a way to get more weapon tokens when you need it. In the final arena of the stage, we get power-ups back, this one being the quad damage renamed Onslaught. There are 3 of them. Onslaught, as stated, makes your weapon do quad damage for a limited time, Overdrive makes your weapons shoot faster and allows for infinite ammo, and Berserk can allow you to one-shot glory kill demons. I am very upset that we barely see the Berserk power-up. Getting to brutally kill some demons even more is what I crave. A small detail, but I love that the eyes of the Slayer are shown when he's picking up a power-up. Back at the Watchtower, we place the Celestial Locator and we find the next Hell Priest in the Cultist base. We're also sent to get the Ice Bomb and we're able to use it in the Slayer's arena. So the Slayer's fortress is pretty big. It has a few doors that can only be unlocked by Sentinel batteries, and these have armor sets, robot mods, and these Sentinel coins. These help with aspects like the grenade, environment, all that. The grenades, for example, can be upgraded to have an extra grenade, and enemies killed by it drop mini nades. We also see the Slayer's room. You can see the weapons you unlock, as well as the action figures you find. The Slayer also has a bunch of gnarly guitars, a picture of Daisy, and I don't even want to think of what the Slayer had to do for this PC. The arena is mostly there to test out new items if you want. It's nothing bad, and it's cool that this is in the game as it helps people get back into the game movement, kinda like me. Now we head to the Cultist base. The base has a lot of puzzles and fun mechanics that you can mess around with. We also get introduced to the Mancubus. It acts very similar to the 2016 version, but you can break its mounted guns with crits. It's essential to do that since if you get too close to the Mancubus, it can launch a lingering attack in the ground, so better take it out from a distance or as quickly as you can. As you can see from the gameplay, I suck. I'm still very new to these kinds of games. But this has helped with the lives system. Instead of dying and restarting to a checkpoint, lives are spread around the levels. When you lose all your health, it takes 1 life and you can escape from where you were with a few seconds of immunity. In this level, we find new enemies. The shield soldiers were absolutely infuriating in 2016, but in Eternal, you can use the plasma rifle to break the shield and it can hurt enemies around the explosion. The second enemy is the Whiplash. The enemy can slither around and attack the Slayer from afar. On its own, it's a fine enemy, but when you have extra demons surrounding you, it can be irritating to kill it. Thankfully, we get the Rocket here, and it's a lifesaver. The Rocket has the same mods as in 2016. It has a lock-on, and my personal favorite, self-detonating mod. Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? As we progress to the base, it seems that the demons took the Slayer's super shotgun. To get it back, we had to take control of a Revenant.
Neural connection successful. You are now in control of the Revenant drone. You may use it to reclaim your property.
This is pretty much a demo of the PvP mode, which is called Battle Mode. It's a fine section and you only have to do it once in your campaign, and thankfully it is early on, so it's not that bad. The Super Shotgun. The freaking Super Shotgun. The weapon, as you see, has a grappling hook, but instead of pulling enemies towards you, you pull yourselves to them. Like 2016, it only has one attachment, but here the shotgun doesn't just become the only weapon you use. The mastery of the super shotgun allows the hook to light enemies on fire when grappled, which will drop armor. Not much else happens in the cultist base, so we move on to the Doom Hunter base. This level does have combat, but it's also the most platforming you'll do up to this point in the level. We get the returning Pinky, which has strong armor in front of their body and has a weakness behind their back. Or if you're like me, you could just one-shot them with a blood punch. There's a different variant called the Spectre, and it's just an invisible Pinky, nothing else different. As we progress through the level, the Hell Priest boasts of their new enemy, who we see getting upgraded throughout the level. I like this since it helps give the enemy a bigger danger, and also that everything in here is decorated with skulls. We also get the most annoying enemy in the game, and yes, I know what comes up later, the Carcass. A demon that can make a shield anywhere in the arena to protect other demons. I freaking hate this enemy. Not only is the shield annoying, it can be placed in front of you and stop your movement. It's infuriating. You don't even have to look at the Carcass and it can still place a shield in front of you. We also get the Prowlers. They can teleport away from the Slayer and can be pretty difficult to hit, but they're mostly like imps but purple. I haven't really pointed it out, but I really like that we're getting an actual snow level. I remember in 2016 there was one, but it was mostly the opening. I'm a sucker for snow stuff, so I like this level. But as we reach the end of the stage, and with all the build-up, we meet the first boss of the game, the Doom Hunter.
The great Argadon hunters from the Telos realm, though long thought to be extinct, created to hunt only the Slayer and his Night Sentinels during the Unholy Crusades. Some improvements on their design have been made. Enjoy what is undoubtedly my finest work.
The hunter starts with a shield that can only be broken by plasma weapons, and then you can damage the boss itself. I highly recommend the rocket launcher with the lock-on mod to do insane damage. After you get its first bar down, it breaks off and begins to be more aggressive in exchange for no longer having a shield. The second part of this fight has you fight two Doom Hunters. I oddly think this is easier, since for the most part the Doom Hunters stay pretty far and only really aggro when it reaches critical damage. The Hunters are really cool, and the thing I like the most is that this is the introduction of the boss, who later on becomes a mini-boss you'll encounter in future levels.
The beast, does he not seek enhanced power? Gifts to aid him in his noble conquest, perhaps in return for my...
You know, I'm starting to like this guy. Back home, the Maker is mad at our continuation of killing the Hell Priest, but states that humanity will still fall to the heavens. More importantly, the last Hell Priest has been moved to another location we can't find. In the meantime, we find that there's a gore nest on Earth that we can go and take out, leading us to the next level. But before that, we get the Ballista, the newest version of the 2016 Gauss Cannon. The Gauss Cannon was insanely powerful, so it got rightfully nerfed. The two mods though are really good. We have the Arbalist, where it charges a bolt that explodes after a certain amount of time to do massive damage, especially on flying enemies like the Kagu Demon. The second mod is the Destroyer Blade. I slept way too long on this mod. You charge the shot to launch a disc-like attack in front of you to destroy anything. I put this on because I didn't think it was actually going to be pretty useful, only realizing in later levels that it is one of the best weapons to clear out some smaller enemies. Also, it's a small thing, but the normal shot of the Ballista has a slight knockback that moves the player back and can be pretty useful or fun for movement.
Please remain calm. You may notice a slight change in the environment. Fear not. It's all part of the plan.
The Super Gore Nest location is nearby. This is the site where the invasion...
Oh, so this is what hell is like. The Super Gore Nest is just pure chaos. So many arenas, a lot of enemies, it's pure slaughter, and I love it. But the setting is also just insane. It looks straight out of H.P. Lovecraft. We find the new edition of rat suits. This is just a way to block the radiation to platform through in the level. And I had a bit where I was just like, yeah, it's there, and that's what it is. It's just there. We also found the chain gun, probably my favorite weapon. It has two mods. The first is the shield. It works pretty well and can be pretty useful with the mastery mod launching the shield after it depletes to the enemy, but I personally like the sentry mode as it can shred everything like it's made of paper. In this level, we get the Dread Knight, one of my favorite enemies. They have dual wielding blades on their arms and they can just rush at the player. I like them mostly due to their design and that they're just fun to go up against. I like this guy. This level also gives us buff totems. I hate buff totems. When a buff totem is active, every enemy is increasingly aggressive and the only way to stop the buff is to destroy the totem. It can be pretty easy to find it in an arena as it's usually in sight of where you are, but it's not easy when you're getting surrounded by buff prowlers and you cannot move at all. This level has us explore to get keys to open the gore nest and destroy its heart. This is probably my favorite part of the level as it has you explore all around the arena to find what you need, and it always feels different. Once the building of the gore nest is back online, it destroys the heart and you run like hell before the nest explodes. Vega informs us that to stop the invasion, we're gonna need to kill the last priest, but because of us not knowing the location, we're gonna need the help of Samuel Hayden. So the next level is the Ark Complex. This is probably my favorite level in the game. This level has us seeing how the Ark team have been trying to defend their facilities, and it's the one that contains Hayden, so that's probably why everything looks horrible. The Ark, also known as the Armored Response Coalition, is basically a non-cultic version of the UAC. You'll probably notice it everywhere, but these holograms are basically propaganda from the UAC saying, hey, look at this, hell is actually pretty nice, when it probably isn't.
Good news for the faithful. The deceiver, Samuel Hayden, has fallen. The Ark is no more.
The Ark were worried about the Slayer's return to Earth, but after some sayings from people of the Slayer actually coming in and killing the priest, they begin to believe he is their savior. This level also has some audio logs we can listen to. The audio is from this person called Dr. Elena Richardson, who was evaluating the Doom Slayer possibly before the events of 2016, and the TLDR is that despite the Slayer's immense strength and almost godlike power, he is by all means human. Back to the level, this is when we meet the Cyber Mancubus. They are highly armored versions of the original Mancubus, but using a blood punch will break off some of their armor so you can kill them a lot easier. They're pretty difficult due to how beefy they are. The way forward to the main tower is blocked by a bunch of tentacles, so we're gonna have to use the facility's turrets to destroy them. I really like this section since you get to travel through the buildings and there's a good amount of combat mixed with platforming. And I don't know what it is about this section, but I love the part where you're just fighting the demons in a garage. That is until you get to the unmovable goo again. At least you can grapple onto the fodder enemies to move faster.
Successful. The path is now clear. You can access Dr. Hayden's outpost.
As we enter the facility, everyone inside is freaked out by the Slayer, except this guy.
My God, Dr. Hayden was convinced that he would come here for this eventually. Can I just say that it is an honor for me, personally, to meet you? I
don't know who he is, but I like him already.
We don't know how to access his main cortex. It's all alien. We couldn't figure it out. We have to, prepare for his careful extraction. We were given specific orders.
So, Hayden doesn't look as good as he did in 2016, but that's not our main worry right now.
Demonic presence threat level 5 entering main laboratory.
Opening the portal now.
Never one of us. You were nothing but a usurper, a false idol. My eyes have been opened. Let me help you to see, Slayer.
It's been a while since I fought you, so let's see if I'm not that rusty. Well, that wasn't so bad. Okay, jokes aside, the Marauder. Undoubtedly the most controversial enemy added to the series. A lot of people either really like or really dislike this enemy. What do I think? As an admittedly mediocre Doom player, I love the Marauder. First off, the design is fantastic. Basically a demonic version of the Doomslayer with a demonic power axe and demon-like looking armor similar to the Slayer suit. Second, his voice is phenomenally creepy and badass. And when researching for this video, I found that the voice for Marauder, Edward Bosco, is the same VA as Alistair in the Has-Been Hotel pilot. So maybe that's why this meme makes more sense. Now the gameplay is the most controversial part of the guy. The Marauder can be pretty aggressive as he wields a shield with a shotgun. If you get too close to him, he'll use the shotgun. If you get too far, he launches a blade to the player, and damaging the shield too much will release a hellhound that can be very distracting. You need to find the perfect middle ground to aggro the Marauder. When he's about to attack you, he shines a green light. The best way to damage him is to quickly switch from the ballista and super shotgun after every shot. Repeat this until he's dead. I really like the Marauder. I honestly think if the tutorial in-game was better written, he wouldn't have gotten as much hate as he did. So now we get back to the base. We let Samuel get powered up by the ship so he can actually speak to us.
The final priest is hiding in Sentinel Prime.
Well, that was fast. So there's a portal inside Mars that can be used so we can find the last Hell Priest. How are we gonna get in? Well, we're gonna use the BFG 10,000.
The BFG 10,000, designed by Dr. Samuel Hayden as part of the anti-demonic defense grid.
I understand. Searching the coordinates to the BFG 10,000 now.
You can't just shoot a hole into the surface of Mars.
I still love this intro to the stage. The soundtrack, the enemies in the background surrounding the base, and everyone's reaction to the Slayer is perfect. I especially love the reaction to the guy who has the keycard on him, looking like he was about to get choked.
Hey, who are you? You can't be here.
I gotta say it's weird that the animation used here is also the same from the Phobos reveal, as if this level was going to be when you would originally get the rifle. In this level we get the Barons of Hell. They have a similar arm blades like the Dread Knight, but are way more tanky to take down. But my favorite thing about them is that when they get damaged, it shows that the Barons have magma-like blood. That actually reminds me, a feature that was added to Eternal was a damage model system. It physically shows the demon's damage that happens when a demon is attacked, and it's awesome. It makes your weapons feel that much more powerful, but also shows how durable some of these demons can be when they're 1% away from looking like a skeleton. Speaking of small things, in the BFG section of the level, when the BFG itself shoots, you can feel the trouble of the shock in your controller. It's more noticeable if you have an advanced controller like a Turtle Beach Recon controller that I use. Oh hey, Pain Elementals. These guys are like Kaku demons, but instead of launching purple balls, they spawn in lost souls, and those are flying skulls that can attack you. They're pretty beefy, but the Arbalest mod for the ballista makes them kind of a joke, and taking them out with a glory kill is just as satisfying.
Warning, BFG 10,000 fired.
I'm telling you, he's on his way. I need you to...
So you know how Samuel Hayden said we can't shoot a hole into Mars? Well, we proved it.
Warning, Mars surface targeted.
I said we...
Trying to disable the safety protocols?
I said we prove him wrong.
The pod is set to self-destruct. We should move ahead.
So the BFG, similar to the 2016 version, it's prominently used to clear ads and damage heavy enemies. It was slightly changed so it can stun larger enemies surrounding the shot. Like the past game, you can only get the ammo from specific areas, so use it wisely. To get to the Lost City, we have to travel through the debris of a Mars facility. And I haven't said it a lot, but I absolutely love the designs of the environment. Especially here, like seriously, take the time to just go into like the photo mode and just look at the beautiful backgrounds.
The ion catapult is designed to use only approved UAC ammunition. 2, 1.
You know, this whole section makes me understand why Bungie mentioned Doom Eternal when they showed off the Witch Queen campaign. To end the level, we find the portal to the location so we can finally kill the last Hell Priest. So we arrive in the city, Sentinel Prime, the mainland of the Sentinels, or as they're known in lore, as Argent Denor. I find it odd that considering the Slayer's goals, the Sentinels allow the Slayer back. I guess it makes sense since both the Slayer and Hell Priest are and was considered part of the Sentinels. It's also weird seeing a Maker here, but if you read the Codex, which are basically the lore books, it talks about how the Maker was seen as the gods to the Sentinels, and their help led to a successful defeat to a Hell invasion from a long time ago. The level itself is just a lot of exploration and the boss fight, but in between, there are flashbacks that show how the Slayer was found, as I said when I talked about King Novik a while back. The Slayer does talk in these cutscenes, and it's admittedly kind of cheesy, but it works.
Guts. Huge guts. Kill them. Must kill them all.
He has fight in him yet. In spite of his injuries. Send him to the arena. Let him be judged like the others.
So we head up to the elevator and we see the priest. He does say that if any Sentinel blood is shed, the Slayer will be considered an enemy, which then leads to the Gladiator boss fight. The boss itself is pretty solid. Like the Marauder, the Gladiator shines before it attacks you, and you can damage the demon when that happens. He uses a shield so it makes it more difficult for the first phase to damage the boss. I also like that the shield is literally a face. The second phase is similar to the Cyber Demon boss from 2016, but instead of just a jumping attack, it waves as you have to move vertically to avoid the attack, like a very dangerous game of jump rope. A pretty solid fight, and a beautiful execution if I may add.
This stops nothing. Earth will be consumed, regardless of what.
We have killed all the Hell Priests, but that has led the Slayer to become an enemy to the Sentinels, so we go.
The portal is ready. We should leave immediately.
The Maker is mad that we actually did what we did, so she threatens us with her saying that she is going to awaken the Icon of Sin so it can destroy humanity and Earth. We also get this quick attack from some demons, which also has BFG Division playing in the background, but it's only for this section and whenever you're in the Fortress's arena. Oh boy. Yeah, there's no avoiding it. We need to talk about Doom Eternal's soundtrack. This has been something I wasn't sure of how to talk about due to the things that have been released when I was writing the script, but I'll try my best to explain the problem. So the composer for both Doom 2016 and Eternal's soundtrack, Mick Gordon, was not being treated well with his role in the Eternal soundtrack. A lot of things happened, with the official OST being announced before Mick was even contracted, not given enough detail to what the soundtrack should be, tracks that were included in the OST that were clearly unfinished or often mismatched together, and a lot more. I really don't want to get further into this since I'm truly unsure of what everyone thinks about this now, and I'd rather not try to influence something that I don't know about and maybe accidentally give something that's completely wrong, so I'll leave a link to Mick's response in the description just in case you're curious. So the soundtrack does have some oddities, but I'm just gonna be blunt. This soundtrack is fantastic. After the success that was 2016's soundtrack, there was a lot to do to one-up it, or even have the same quality as the past soundtrack. Despite the issues that happened, there are some phenomenal tracks in this game. A lot of them still have that Mick Gordon music or tone that you feel like you have never heard in a game, with intense guitar riffs or insane ways of instruments were used or influenced. By that, I mean Mick Gordon imitated or used the noise of a chainsaw or lawnmower for the tracks. This is so metal, I don't think it can even be melted. Plus, there was a thing about 2016 soundtrack that Mick wasn't allowed to use guitars in the beginning, which honestly I still question why that was a thing, but then was allowed to, and now he has all the freedom to use all the guitars he has, and it is literal music orgasm. There is also a choir of metal singers that Mick included in some tracks like Meat Hook and the Gladiator boss fight theme. Despite the immense amount of fast-paced tracks, there are still some that are very much slower paced, like the track that plays when the Slayer arrives at the Phobos base, or even the fortress's ambience. Another track to mention is When You Meet the Betrayer. I mentioned something about the track that sounded very similar, and that's because it's a remix of the Victory theme from the first Doom game. The track is also played in other levels like Exosia and the next level, Terrace Nabad, and it has this trumpet-like sound in the track. That is the sound of a kingling, an instrument that's made out of a human femur. Yes, an instrument that's made for the human body. Mick was asked if he used a kingling, and he confirmed that he did. I freaking love this man. Even with what happened, Doom Eternal has some fantastic tracks, and is probably my second favorite OST Mick has made. You may be wondering what my favorite is. It's not 2016, it's actually Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. I will talk about why I think this if I ever get to talking about the Wolfenstein games. So as said earlier, the next level is Terrace Nabad. This might be my least favorite level in the game, but I still say it's pretty good. A lot of the level has you swim through some sludge to do some platforming. The platforming itself is fine, but the swimming itself is incredibly slow, even when you're using dashes. The thing I really don't like is the introduction of the Archviles. It's between the Carcass and the Archvile and which enemy I hate the most. The Archvile can launch fire attacks and shield itself with fire to revive dead enemies, so it makes it the main demon to attack even when other demons are seemingly much deadlier. So to take down the Icon of Sin, we need to use the Crucible to take it down. As seen with this massive demon, we need to keep the blade inside the demon so it can't be revived again. The level has us go through the stage to find the energy coin and charge the Crucible up. In this level, we get mastery tokens. These are basically a free pass of getting a weapons mastery mod without doing its challenge. I like this since there are some mods you can get with just playing the games, such as the Super Shotguns challenge, just having you kill enemies that were hooked, but then there are some I just don't even want to bother with. During the beginning of the level, we get another flashback of the Slayer being sealed, but something is odd. Specifically this line.
Take it. It will give you strength. Help you on your journey. Take it. It will give you strength. Help you on your journey. If you can withstand the power surge.
Huh, something to think about. But at the end of the level, we get to power up our new weapon, the Crucible.
I'm sure you want to try out the weapon first before you leave.
The Crucible is a one-shot weapon. Other than bosses or mini-bosses, you can pretty much just one-shot every other demon, from the Low Fodder, which I accidentally do once, to Archviles. The drawback is that you can only hold 3 charges, and unlike the chainsaw, the Crucible cannot recharge at least 1 charge of the blade and needs to be found throughout the level. As we return back to the fortress, Hayden states that once we go to the next level, we can't go back to the fortress, so make sure you have what you need. One of those things involves the Empyrean keys. There are 6 keys that drop after defeating a Slayer Gate. Getting all 6 keys unlocks a new weapon, the Unmaker.
The Unmaker. Pure maker technology. Inspired by Sentinel weaponry and refined by their divine intellect. Its destructive potential is staggering.
This is a returning weapon from Doom 64, which was pretty cool. It looked cool, sounded cool. It was nice seeing it back. The weapon uses BFG ammo, and its effectiveness is underwhelming. It's actually pretty alright on its own. You can shred through fodder like paper. It can be pretty good against some bigger enemies, but because of how it acts like an auto shotgun, making it consume ammo faster, the BFG is just better utility wise. There was a glitch, I remember, that when you grabbed an overdrive power up, it actually had infinite ammo, while the BFG didn't, making it at least somewhat useful. But now we head off to the final levels, starting with Necrovol.
Argent energy is made from the souls of Hell's victims. This is the factory where that takes place. Necrovol, the city of the damned.
So yeah, Hayden has finally explained what Argent energy is, and it's made of Hell's souls. Gameplay wise, there's a few things to talk about. First is the Tyrant, or as I personally like to call them, the Cyber Demons, since it's basically a shrunken version of the Cyber Demon from 2016. Okay, that was too easy. Kinda wish they didn't add the all-star power up so the Cyber Demon can at least be shown how powerful it is. The enemy is very slow and massive, making it an easier target, but also makes it one of the highest damaging enemies as it can launch a volley of rockets, but can also launch the rockets into the sky and makes it act like a mortar round. A thing to note about all these levels is that they are tough. There are so many enemies in this level that it gets pretty chaotic really quickly, and I love it. But a weird thing to note is that this level is actually split into 2. I don't get why this was done. Maybe for space, but the level parts together feels just as long as a middle stage.
The Khan Maker needs Earth and its souls. Her world is dying. The culling allows her people to replenish their resources and survive. As you save your world, you put hers in peril. Up ahead is Kaladas, the sightless judge. It determines who's fit to begin the soul extraction process. The rest will be discarded to the blood swamps.
I wonder what that location is. In this level, we see Calabas, the demon that controls what souls are sent to be extracted. You have to break its eyes to destroy its shield. I really don't get how I didn't get that the way to break the shields is to just shoot the eyes. And this is something I noticed. Hayden says that Calabas is blind, so the turrets that look like eyes aren't actually his eyes. Just a thought. Halfway through the level, we get the interactions from the cultist base back, and it's so fun to lure demons and squish them. And yeah, it works on the pinkies too. I said the visuals were already crazy, but this part where the bodies are all combined into these cages is honestly very unsettling. Now that we get through that, the next part has us ascend to the Soul Spire, as the pure Argent energy produced there can launch us into Urdak. Hayden also talks about how the Sentinel Priest and the Make were the ones that were able to make the souls into Argent energy. The Dark Lord of Hell was able to make an agreement with the Maker. Hell was able to devour more places in exchange for the energy from Hell's souls, as seen from the fact that this facility uses Maker energy and technology. This part of the level is my favorite, as there are many openings you can go through to climb this place, and like Calabas, the platform has you kill the ice to progress. Now we're in the last arena, where we have to break the chains holding the demons that are holding the pillar in the middle so we can go through it. And this will be what will make the first ever being to ever reach Urdak. Man, this place is beautiful, but it feels so empty. It doesn't help that there is an incredibly unsettling ambient track that plays whenever you're not in combat, and it's really creepy. So now our goal is to stop the Maker from awakening and controlling the Icon of Sin. This level has you travel through these launch pads, and with the help from the air movement room makes this fast and kind of uncontrollable for the most part, or more likely that I just suck. We find the heart of the Icon, and with the Betrayer's knife, we kill it.
We will not be able to control it! No!
Unfortunately, this awakens the Icon of Sin and now has been set free to go to Earth and destroy everything in sight. We see a new enemy, the Maker drones. They're just one-shotted enemies when you headshot them, and they drop a lot of ammo. So they're like a piñata. They're incredibly easy to take out and aren't really that much of a danger. Now that the Icon of Sin isn't in control, it has begun to destroy Earth, and the longer it's alive, the stronger it'll get. So now our goal is to get back to Earth as fast as possible. The only way back now is to set up a portal, and we have to configure these with the help of Vega.
System acquired. Setting a course for the Earth dimension now.
I can see now. Am I the father comprehend?
So out of every part of the game, I struggled the most here trying to explain what the Father is. So here is what I was able to find, and if I missed something, please do let me know. So the Father was the being that gave life to the Makers and created Urdak. This led to the Maker known as Samur, who later became the Seraphim. The Seraphim was the being that gave the Slayer his immense strength. After many battles, Samur traveled to Earth and he transferred into a cloned human. That human was Samuel Hayden. I said that the line the one being said during the Terrace Nabat flashback had a similar line to Hayden in 2016, cluing into people who that really was. More of this will be expanded later in the Ancient Gods expansion, but for now, Vega is the Father. He was probably put there when Samuel Hayden was working on Vega. Okay, enough lore dump. Back to the gameplay. Once we set up all the 3 rings, we head to the portal before being stopped by the Khan Maker, and we have to fight her to progress.
Who are you? A human, once a mortal, to defy our traditions.
Alright, you are literally just Savathun right now. So the Khan Maker fight is probably the most disappointing fight. But it's always been like that for me even when I first played this game. You have to break the Maker's shield so that she can become vulnerable, and the only way to damage her is to blood punch her. Yeah, that's it. That's the fight. There isn't even like a second phase. The most dangerous part of the platform is that they can be dangerous to stand on. To say this fight is disappointing is putting it lightly. As the Maker dies, she tells how we have jeopardized all of creation, and her core rises to... I wonder what that means, but we can't think about that. Our final goal is to stop the Icon of Sin in the last level, Final Sin. The final level has you catch up to the Icon as it goes through the city, and we have to battle through many arenas with the most difficult enemies. The final level has you catch up to the Icon as it goes through the city, and we have to battle through many arenas with the most difficult enemies of the game all appearing here. Thankfully, there are many Crucible drops and BFG ammo, so you aren't always struggling. That is until the Marauder comes around. I think I said this earlier, but you can't use the Crucible to one-shot them, so you actually have to fight them legit. I really like how massive the Icon of Sin is and how it blocks your path unintentionally, and it's just minding its own business. But at the end of the level, we finally get close enough to fight the Icon of Sin.
Now, two titans, as it was written.
So this guy has about 2 phases. The first has you break the exterior armor, and it can be pretty tanky to take out, as well as that you get surrounded by infinite spawning enemies, but it's usually the Dread Knights that would give me the most problems. But thankfully there are Crucible charges, so they're going to be pretty easy to take out. It takes a while, but once you break the Icon's armor, it walks away for the next phase.
Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon.
The second phase is pretty annoying, but also fun. The Icon can be damaged, and the damage done to the body is pretty disgusting. You can also use the BFG ammo to do severe damage to it. That is if the Icon decides to stay in place. Yeah, the most annoying part of this fight is that the Icon can move around the arena. It also doesn't help that the arena also spawns in Cyber Macubus, and they are so annoying when they do the ground attack when they're just jittering your entire screen. I'm pretty disappointed in myself that I died more to the enemies in the arena here than the actual boss itself, but we managed to get all the crits down, and we plunge the Crucible into the Icon of Sin. We break the Hilltop so it doesn't ever come back to life, we stop the invasion of Hell on Earth, and we finish Doom Eternal.
and your will, their sword. You remain unbroken, for your fight is eternal.
So, what do I think of the game? Well, Doom Eternal might just be one of my favorite games and one of the best FPSs I've played in recent time. In basic terms, it took what already worked with 2016 and just somehow made it better. It's kind of difficult to explain, but it's pretty simple as it's just a very good game and a very good sequel. The gameplay is high tense and fast paced, the music is phenomenal, despite what I originally thought. I actually really like the lore added as it helps expand the Doom universe, but it also works because for the most part, you can still get the basics down with just playing the game on its own. There's still a lot to talk about this game, like the multiplayer battle mode, which is there. Horde mode is so fun, and there is just a lot of customization with the weapon skins and costumes. There is so much to do here, but next time, I will be talking about the first DLC, The Ancient Gods Part 1. Still, I hope you enjoyed the video. I honestly thought my Dark Souls 3 video would be the longest video I'll ever make up to this point, and yeah. I don't know when this next video will be out, but I can't wait to see y'all there. Anyways, have a great day.
You can't handle the uber instincts of my uber autism. Observe.
Doom Eternal is fantastic. I spent a long time talking about why I think it's one of the best FPS games I've played, and well, here we are with the DLC expansions. Doom itself was never a stranger to DLCs. I knew Doom 3 had like a major expansion. I think the past games had some form of like map packs, but I can't verify because I have yet to have played those games. As for Doom Eternal, I was genuinely surprised that there was actually going to be DLC. I only noticed this when I got the game with the season pass, which at the time only had the Ancient Gods Part 1. I played through the Ancient Gods and wow. In the Eternal video, I said I'm a mediocre Doom player, which, yeah, it's true. Part of it is because I am, but the Ancient Gods is the primary reason I say that. This DLC is tough, like, really tough. Even when it was nerfed, I believe when Part 2 was released, it's still incredibly difficult, and I love it. I think this DLC was awesome and a great continuation of the Doom gameplay as well as the story. So what do I think about it now? Well, let's see. Despite the Slayer's defeat of the Icon of Sin, Hell is still loose and is causing havoc across dimensions. Urdak especially, as without the Conmaker's involvement, the destruction of that location allowed the demons to reinitiate the invasion on Earth. We see the Slayer has joined up with the Ark as well as Samuel Hayden to find a being called the Seraphim, who may be able to help us with this Hell issue. With the Slayer ready, we can begin the DLC. So hi, my name is Solar, and this is the Ancient Gods Part 1. So the first thing you'll notice is that you have pretty much everything unlocked in this DLC, as well as in Part 2. You have all the mods with the mastered upgrades, all the suit upgrades, and a lot more. I believe you still need to have unlocked the Unmaker in the base game to use it here, but yeah, you have your entire arsenal ready and you're gonna need it, because this opening does not hold back. You get Mancubuses, Hell Knights, Revenants, and a freaking Dread Knight. That's how insane this DLC is gonna be. Oh, and because of the base game ending, the Slayer had to leave the Crucible in the Icon of Sin so it wouldn't wake back up, so we don't have that weapon back and you will wish you had it. One more major thing, your lives have been reset back to 0. I would say Eternal was pretty good with extra lives and where they were located and how plentiful they were. Here, you don't get your first life until you've made good progress in the stage, and it's very important to keep them because, wow. So the goal now is to find the Seraphim's key, and it's hidden inside this UAC facility. I really like the setting here. Really reminded me of Titan from Destiny 2, which is pretty funny because at the time I'm writing this, Titan was revealed to return in Season of the Deep. Anyway, what I love the most is how open this stage is. You can go back and forth in this level, and while I usually say I don't like backtracking, I like it here since there's a lot of things you can do and a lot of secrets you can find. In the beginning, I said this DLC is harder than I remember, which, spoiler alert, it's true. But the reason why is because this game puts a lot of tougher enemies in arenas. You get a mix of Whiplashes with Hell Knights, and even mixing them in with Cyber Mancubi. It doesn't help that this DLC includes new enemies, starting with the turrets. Well, they're technically the turrets on the Calibus fight from Necroville, but it was only used in that one location, and let's be honest, how many of you guys even remember that? Because I didn't. The turrets work like they did just before, but the eyes can duck back into its pillar. You can't blood punch it. In fact, you shouldn't, as you'll just waste your blood punches. The best thing to take them out with is the shotgun grenade mod, the precision bolt, or a ballista shot. You can also freeze the eye to get your shots in easier, and it's pretty useful to get these guys down because you'll get some ammo back. We get the goriness challenges back, but they're pretty useless, and I learned this from that Trav guy where you can just use 2 Destroyer Blades to beat the challenge. The only thing you'll get out of these is a costume, so if you've already gotten the costume in your first playthrough, they're just there. Kinda useless, to be honest. So, you wanna hear a massive nitpick? The aqua suit. The suit works just like the rat suit from before, but instead of protecting you from radiation, it helps the Slayer breathe underwater. My nitpicking comes from how the suits are used. We have the rat suit, but in Terrace Nabad and the next level, you swim through the level and you don't suffer from the oxygen. Yet that one section of Urdak has that weird water that you don't even need a suit for. So like, what the heck is going on? Oh, and another nitpick. This level likes to surprise you with random enemies spawning in. But did you really have to spawn a cyber demon while you're in a tight hallway? I mean, it's cool, but like, why?
Warning, the Seraphim's chamber key has been removed. The Slayer has the key. This facility will self-destruct in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Goodbye.
I like that to deal with the Slayer doing anything, the UAC has to destroy the entire facility. So now we have the key. We have to progress through the level to head down to the underwater area of this facility. While exploring the level, you will find the Slayer gates. They work just like in the base game, but since these don't drop Empyrean keys, we get another addition. Support runes. There are only 3 available and you can find the others in the next levels. There's the Take Back rune, where you can kill the demon that took your extra life and get it back. Desperate Punch lets your Blood Punch do double damage when below 75 health, but my favorite is the Break Blast. Breaking a critical spot causes a concussion and blast that will stagger enemies. I didn't point this out, but staggering is an incredibly helpful resource, especially when dealing with larger enemies like the Tyrants. Just that little quick second can help you switch to another weapon or scavenge some extra ammo from enemies near you. So now that we have the key, the Slayer dives deeper into the base. I hate this section, since while the lights do tell you where to go, I still get very lost, and as I said in the Terrace Nabad level, the swimming is so finicky. I'm less focused on the UAC facility itself, and more on whatever this thing is because I want to fight it. This section of the level is absolutely my favorite, as I am a sucker for underwater levels in game, but I also like how close quarter this level is compared to the rest. We also get the arena that shows how crazy this DLC will get with enemy spawns, as it spawns in 2 marauders to fight at the same time. Despite how insane that sounds, it's actually not that bad. You can usually focus on one marauder without the other distracting you that much, and even if you get mixed up, you can usually tell which one you've dealt the most damage to. I have to say that I love the last arena, but mainly because I remember that this spawned in a lot of Cyber Mankibai and Cyber Demons, so I was holding on to my BFG ammo in case things got worse, and I unintentionally forgot to use it, making this harder for myself. Now that we have killed all the demons, we finally get to the body of the Seraphim.
I am going to transfer my consciousness into the device, as Vega did. I am here to help you, as I have always. And now, they will fear you. For some time now. I knew who you were the moment you set foot in our world, and who you could become to us. I brought you to the Divinity Machine and gave you your power. Where would all of this be now had I not had the force?
I can't be the only one who's weirded out by the lips, right?
Your gifts are owed to us now. Repay the Father for all he has granted us both by returning him to his throne, and then he will save us all.
Dr. Hayden is the Seraphim. He's been with us the entire time.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say it, but okay. So it seems there's some complications of Samuel Hayden coming back to his maker body, but he has an idea of something that can help, or in this case, someone.
My body is undergoing rapid transfiguration. It is why I need the Father. Reach the tomb and acquire the Father's life sphere.
Yep, our goal now is to head to the blood swamps, since according to Hayden, the Seraphim cannot grab the sphere. I originally had it in my notes when going through the DLC that it was a disappointment we couldn't move around the Ark ship, but yes, we actually can. You can't do a lot, but it's fun to look at these other people with their beautifully modeled faces. But now, we head to the best level in the DLC, the blood swamps.
I see your mission objective states that you're going to destroy the sphere, not retrieve it. That is not, sir, what Dr. Hayden, the Seraphim, has requested of us. You.
Well, this is the Doomslayer you're talking to. Break anything because it's fun. But here we are, the blood swamps. One of the best looking areas in the game. But I wish there was more, blood in the blood swamps. Wow, that was underwhelming. The giant tentacle is there. It can damage you, but I literally never pay attention to it due to how slow it attacks, and also the chain gun melts it. The main premise of this level is to find the Sanctum, and to do so, we will need to initiate the trial of Malagog. The first part has you assemble a coin, which is split into 2 parts, so you have the choice of either going left or right. I love this. I love branching paths and levels, and while you do have to go to both areas to continue the level, I still like having a choice. As for me, I start in the right. This section has you follow a Mountain Dew dog through the swamps, and you have to stay in its circle to not get damaged over time. And the dog will light a torch that then becomes a horde attack. There's not much to add to this mechanic other than it gets hard every time a torch is lit. The main difficulty of this stage and the next are these guys. These are spirits. They can possess demons to buff them, and they are a challenge. When a demon is possessed, it has a higher defense, you can't stagger the demon, and possessed demons like arachnotrons and mancubi can't get their critical areas damaged. Once you take down the demon, the spirit lingers for a few seconds before it possesses another demon, and the only way to take them out is to use the plasma rifle's microwave beam mod. I told you in the video it would actually be useful here. So this and the second DLC's new enemies help to make certain mods more useful than they would be in the base game. Sometimes it works with the spirit, and other times it's just dumb. To end this section, we do an arena, and these are awesome. Not only do they look great, it's filled with enemies and it gets really chaotic. The left side is a lot more traditional, where you have to defeat the enemies to progress through the level with some platforming. I don't like this beginning area since there's a permanent buff totem active throughout the arena, and the marauder that spawns in is just weird. It feels like the buff totem makes the marauder glitched with the buff. This man literally acts like the average Kotsuit, where he moves around so fast yet does nothing. So other than that, we don't have much to talk about here, so that's soundtrack. Obviously it's not Mick Gordon's work. The 2 new composers for the DLCs are Andrew Holsholt and David Levy. These guys are really cool. Andrew Holsholt already had some involvement with Doom as he made some remixes of Doom music, and they are awesome, especially the Doom 64 remake. That is beautiful. He also did the music for the indie game Dusk, but also was able to work with id on the Quake Champions music, which, yeah, that's pretty insane. David Levy, I admittedly don't know much of his work, but from what I've heard on his other projects, it's pretty good. So the Ancient Gods Part 1 soundtrack is really good. It sounds similar to Mick's work, but it still feels unique and different to what came before. It's a lot more heavy metal, but it still has that Doom flavor, and it's just as good as what we've gotten before. But undoubtedly, the best track in this DLC is the Trial of Malagog. David Levy was able to make a track that felt so unique to his work, but has sections that make it feel like Mick Gordon's work, and my god, the first time I heard this part, I was close to ascending to heaven. The final part of this level is to initiate the Trial of Malagog. The fight is kind of unique, as you have to break the eye from the floating box, and when it lands, you punch it to the center. It's pretty satisfying. Do it 3 more times, and you finish the level by awakening Malagog. Yep, that's Malagog, but according to the community, his name is actually Bob. Well, if that's the case, let me change something really quickly. The first time I heard this part, I was close to ascending to heaven. There we go, much better.
Retrieve the Father's soul sphere. He will save Urdak from the demons. For the humans' sake. Do it now. This is the Father's sphere. He will save me.
No, fuck off.
You feel you are prepared now for this.
This is the Dark Lord's life sphere. He'll take physical form if you do this.
We head back to the Ark ship. I love how the Slayer shows the Dark Lord's orb like a kid to everyone else. Despite everyone leaving, the Ensign still wants to help the Slayer, as killing the Dark Lord will make sure that the demon invasion will stop once and for all.
So long as you have a life sphere, you can get through to Urdak. Your portal signature will read like you're one of them. Listen, whatever we do, I'm in. You want to wake the devil not so you can help the demons, it's so you can kill their leader once he's taken physical form, and that'll destroy all of them, for good, right? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. I just want to be part of this. I mean, we're about to save the world. Dark Lord has only ever been written about. He's like a decillion years old and hasn't actually even been conjured into any kind of physical form for that long. Nobody even knows what he looks like. So, like I said, I'm in.
Portal coordinates set for Urdak in the 6th region of the Equestrian Hold.
All right, ready for launch, Doom Guy. I'm sorry.
I was kind of confused with the gameplay here because I was expecting another loading screen. But here we are, in the Holt, a location in Urdak that will allow anyone to bring a being's life sphere back to physical form. In this level, we get a truly new enemy, the Bloodmakers. The Bloodmaker is more aggressive than the Maker drones, as they wield a staff that they can shoot with, and they are very invulnerable for most of our attacks. The only way you can kill them is to shoot their heads while they're charging a spear launch. I really like this enemy. It also helps that they have an awesome design. The Holt level itself is beautiful. I love the red leaves mixed with the white trees. All of the purple skybox makes this one of the best looking levels in the game. The level itself has a good mix of arenas with platforming, as one of my favorite things to do is having to break down the trees to traverse through them. My favorite parts would be the section where you have to stand on the platforms as the floor is electrical, and it's just a room where you have infinite blood punch spawns with pinkies, and the other room has an overdrive to kill the shielded soldiers. Now we head to the Luminarium, and looking excited to show up. The Seraphim boss fight. What I really like about this fight is that it embodies the intensity of the DLC into one single fight. Though I will say his first phase is kind of too easy with the ballista. The next few phases has the Seraphim summon spirits to possess demons. I'm telling you, you haven't felt true fear until you have to run away from a possessed Hell Knight. A small thing, but I like that the glory kill parts are just the Slayer punching the Seraphim. The next part though is awesome, having to avoid lasers and jumping between platforms, all the while killing Caco demons. The final part has you go up against a possessed Pain Elemental and Dread Knight, and it sounds as bad as you think. Well, not really the Pain Elemental, they move around a lot, but you can still hit them with the ballista shots pretty easily.
He was my servant. On my command, he removed me from this place. It is not required that you end his life. Your mission here is now your own.
We head to the Luminarium and we show these guys the Dark Lord's sphere to awaken him into a physical form, and his form is...
The Dark Lord is the leader of Hell's armies. Not a king, but a warrior of the Dark Realm. The fiercest among them, as only the strongest could rule the demons.
Looks like the Dark Lord has taken form of the Slayer himself, and that is how we end off with the Ancient Gods Part 1. That was awesome. The Ancient Gods DLC really nailed the increase in difficulty with level design, new enemies, and it was a solid continuation story-wise with finally explaining the blood swamps, seeing more lore with the Father and more specifically the Seraphim. I was genuinely surprised how well the DLC was handled, and it only gets crazier in the second DLC. Anyways, while I work on my part 2 video, I hope you enjoyed the video, and of course, have a great day. Alright, here we are with the Ancient Gods Part 2, the second and final DLC released for Doom Eternal. The reveal of this DLC is still something I vividly remember. I was seeing people talking about whether we were actually going to get a Part 2 or where the trailer was. The trailer came out on March 17th, and then the DLC came out the next day. I've gotten tired of companies, especially video game companies, releasing trailers like the day before something is released, but to give credit to id and Bungie, it does help initiate hype more than it usually would. The DLC released and it was, well, it wasn't badly received, but it was definitely in the 50-50. Considering the difficulty of Part 1, it was kind of surprising Part 2 would be the opposite. As for me, I liked it. I had some gripes with it, like the decrease in difficulty, some of the new enemies, and the final boss fight, which took me way longer than it should have. But what do I think of the DLC now? Well, let's see. In the end of Part 1, the Doomslayer decided not to revive the Father, but instead the Dark Lord, as defeating him will stop Hell's invasion, so that's what the Slayer tries. The goal is to head to Emora and finally end this battle. So hi, my name is Solar, and this is the Ancient Gods Part 2. The Slayer's goal now is to survive so he can get to the Dark Lord in Emora, the capital of Hell. We're sent to the World Spear, a location in Argent Denor, as the name says, has a massive spear piercing the planet and it looks beautiful. The level itself already shows how easy this will be, with only having Hell Soldiers, a Mancubus in the beginning, unlike in Part 1 where you were thrown in with some of the most toughest enemies in the game. I said that in Part 1 that the newer enemies introduced in the DLC are 50-50 with how they're implemented, but it starts off well with a cool addition, starting with the Screecher. These zombies are differentiated by their purple aura. If they're shot in any way, they explode and release the Screecher buff, which is a temporary buff totem-like buff. I'm unsure if the Shockwave mod from the support rooms also sparks the Screecher, but I like them since it makes me more careful with which enemies to attack. We rescue Mountain Dew Dog, and we get a small section of Horde modes like we got in the Blood Swamps of Part 1. After that section, we get the Armored Barons, probably the overall best edited enemy. The Baron has armor that can't be broken by normal fire. The only way to make it vulnerable is to break its, handball? Yeah, let's go with that. To break its armor. You will only have a few seconds to actually hurt the enemy before it recharges its armor. It acts basically like an armored marauder, but I mean that by having to attack at the right time, and it doesn't help that the Barons are already one of my favorite enemies. I have no idea what happened here, but I thought you guys would like it. I don't have much to talk about other than what happens in the other half of this level. I forgot I had empowered demons on when I was going through this. Empowered demons are interesting. They were originally much stronger enemies that spawned in that would originally have the name of a player that died to that demon. As of update 2, however, these guys were dramatically nerfed and they just exist as a relic of what could have been. Despite the ease, I'm really liking this level. The level setting is one of my favorites. I've always liked the aesthetics of the areas in Argent d'Honneur, though I do ask how there was a spear in the planet and how that didn't affect, everything around it. However, there's one bit that I hate about this level, and it's this section. Having the entire platform be covered in purple goo is just annoying. Thankfully, it's not that tough, and of course you can use the meat hook to traverse through, but I'm still going to complain about it because I can. After using a BFG with quad damage, which can only be described as overkill, we find Commander Velen as a Spectre? Okay. He thanks us for helping to put his son back to rest and rewards us with the Sentinel Hammer. But before we talk about the hammer, I want to talk about Valen. He appears similar to how King Novik did in the base game. We know Valen is alive since we see him chilling in a cave, and spoiler alert, we do see him later on in this DLC, so that does bring me to ask if King Novik is actually alive, and if so, where is he? I'm probably overthinking this, but I'm the kind of guy who can't get enough sleep because I think of these kinds of questions at night. Back to the main topic, the Sentinel Hammer. This is what makes part 2 super easy. To charge the hammer, you have to get glory kills, but you can also break enemies' critical spots to charge it. When using the hammer, you stagger some of the major enemies. It also drops health and ammo from any demon. This thing is broken. I swear if this was in part 1, it would probably not be as tough as it is now. As for its inclusion, I like it. I like things that are kind of like overpowered. I will say it does sometimes make the saw kind of useless because of how easily this thing can charge up, but overall I like its implementation in the game. As we go through the level, we get a new enemy, the Stone Imps. If you remember from the spirits, which you will see in this DLC as well, these enemies are weak to a specific mod. For the imps, it's weak to the full auto shotgun mod. I'm honestly unsure of how to feel about this guy. On one hand, the full auto mod isn't half bad. I definitely saw its use when getting ammo with kills. It really helped me out when I went through the horde mode for the first time. On the other hand, the lore reason for the auto mod being the Stone Imp's weakness is stupid. The codex of the enemy goes as follows. The new hide of the Stone Imp is impenetrable to most known weapons. Only rapid multi-vibrations or the crushing force of a Sentinel Hammer can damage their rocky exterior. If that's the case, then why isn't the mobile turret for the chain gun its weakness? The Slayer reaches to the Torch of Kings. Lighting the torch will show the remaining sentinels that someone seeks passage to the World Spear.
Priests forbid the use of this beacon. If there are any remaining free tribes left in Argent d'Honneur, all will see this light and know what your mission is here.
We are still a day's walk away from the World Spear.
It thankfully works, and we get to ride a goddamn dragon. This game is fantastic and no one can tell me otherwise.
It seems you're not the only one who wants this mission accomplished. If you defeat the Dark Lord, any demon outside of Hell would be destroyed.
The next part of this level has you traverse through the level, and it reminded me of something that I'm genuinely surprised wasn't a part of the main game. Grapple points. Using the Super Shotgun's meat hook, you can traverse through the level and it feels really nice. In this level, we get the Gore Nest back. Unlike in part 1, the nest here act like in 2016, where you have to go through a horde attack to continue. Every Gore Nest gives a power up to the Sentinel Hammer. This power up has demons drop more ammo when stunned. You can activate the Gore Nest again for a more challenging attack, but the reward is only a skin. here we are in the World Spear, and I do not remember this place being covered in ice. The inside is also as unexpected, as it seems that there are some beings in some of these pods. These are actually wraiths. They were beings that were captured and tortured so their essence could be used to make Argent energy. I do have one complaint in that it really felt like there was supposed to be more here, but all you do is just platform. Kind of disappointing, but the Slayer gets astride of this ship's power source and he travels back to Earth, getting ready to power the Gate of Divum, or Divio. I don't know what it's called.
You have the key to the Gate of Divum. I will mark its location.
Here we are, back on Earth. Despite the fact that there's a hell invasion going on, Earth looks really nice. What isn't nice is this guy, the Cursed Prowler. They act similar to the original Prowlers, but these guys are way more annoying. When you're struck by their poison, you get debuffed, and you can't use things like the target lock with the rocket launcher, the meat hook of the super shotgun, but the worst is that you cannot dash. So having to get close to it to blood punch it, which is its weakness, to get rid of the debuff is absolutely annoying. This enemy sucks, but the good things are that the Prowler has a blood punch symbol and you can usually see where it is throughout an arena, and according to the fandom wiki, these guys only appear 3 times. The goal of the level is to head to the Gate of Divum, which will help us head to Imora. Throughout the level, you'll also meet riot soldiers. They're like hell soldiers, but their shields can't be broken, so the best thing to use here is just grenades or the launcher to attack from behind. This guy, he's fine. Compared to the others, and especially the next, this enemy feels like a decent add-on. The last thing I want to talk about is the Gore Nest, because the award is another upgrade to the hammer, because now health and shield drops by defeated enemies increases. You know, I did say that I'm not sure how I feel about it, but the more I use it, the more I like it. There are some other topics I want to talk about before the last level, so let's do this really quickly. First off, this pinky is pretty funny. Secondly, the fact that we get to punch a train but it barely moves is incredibly disappointing. And finally, and mostly the main thing I wanted to talk about, the soundtrack. Despite the fact that I like Part 1's soundtrack more, Part 2 is an overall upgrade and really sounds like Andrew Holschel and David Levy were let to do what they want, and it's great. However, this brought something which was once concerning. When Part 2 was released, the main theme was changed. On its own, it's not a bad track, but the fact it changed a piece from Mick Gordon's work worried some people like it was gonna want to remove Mick's work altogether. Thankfully, now we can change the main menu to whatever you like. But now we activate the gate and we reach the last level of Doom Eternal, the capital of hell, Imora.
The Dark Lord is there, waiting for you. He will not allow the city to be overtaken. Like you, he will fight to the end.
This intro, man, I remember seeing it for the first time and it's still just as good as I remember. The capital is ready for the Slayer, with massive ships, these hell soldiers, and of course the demons. The funny thing is though, the Slayer can absolutely take them all out, even with just his fist. But hey, there's nothing wrong with some extra help. Valen comes in through some portals, bringing with him the entire Sentinel army, and it's insane. We even get giant freaking mechs. I do question how he was able to open up a portal if the Gate of Divum was the only way to get to the Portal of Hell, but I don't care right now. This was pretty much like the final battle of Avengers Endgame, but if anything, this section reminds me of the Doom 64 opening. Anyone else? The way the demons appear here just reminded me of that opening. Still, this whole section is perfect.
Come, brothers! Let hell tremble before our might!
Oh yeah, the battle still continues. You can see Sentinel soldiers going up against Hell soldiers, giant mechs fighting massive demons. I mean, the mech stabs the demon with a massive staff. and a dragon is burning this guy's face off. I cannot ask for more. The arenas here also sell the battle, with Barons of Hell, Tyrants, Hell Knights. It's insane. But it also gets easier with the last upgrade to the Sentinel Hammer, where it has an increase of dazing. Yeah, this thing is just overkill, and I love it. Still, the upgrades don't ruin this level as it's still chaotic. That's also thanks to one of the most intense tracks in the entire game, Hell's Army. David Levy created an intense metal track that I think even Mick Gordon would appreciate. These two DLCs really show Holshow and Levy know what they're doing, and if they'll be back for the next Doom game, I think we'll be in good hands. As we continue the level, we finally get the last new enemy, and yes, I mean new, the Demonic Trooper. It has an amazing design with a fantastic looking weapon. The codex says that the enemy cannot be chainsawed or glory killed, so with all this hype, what happened? They're the weakest enemy in the entire game. Even the fodder zombies have more health, and I'm serious, they do. For what I said in the beginning, these guys are one of the only new enemies, and they end up like this? Why though? I cannot ask for more. Okay, I kind of do. Because this final part is kind of underwhelming. Just an overdrive perk with a ton of shotgun ammo, all the while surrounded by stone imps. Kind of weird that this was the arena before the final boss.
You're approaching the Dark Lord Sanctum. Starting to lose my connection though. Doomslayer, sir. I won't be able to...
Violence and war to thwart the Dark Realm. But conflict was born in Hell. It is inevitable. A fire that fuels creation and gives purpose where there is none.
The Dark Lord. Oh, dear God. The goddamn Dark Lord. The Dark Lord fight was one that I genuinely hated. I remember vividly, I was able to get to the final boss on the first day of the DLC coming out, but the final phase made me so frustrated that I just quit. Then I got the fight done later that night. To put it simple, I'm pretty sure I felt like what game reviewers thought when fighting the Marauder for the first time. But like the Marauder, the Dark Lord is kind of easy. Well, not easy honestly, but a lot better to go up against than you think. The Dark Lord acts very similar to the Marauder, even to how you stagger it to do damage. His arsenal is pretty deadly. He can of course sword slash, but he can also shield bash you, launch bombs, and later on summon specters of enemies. The thing that makes this fight way more dangerous than the Marauder is that any physical attack, by that I mean the sword slash and the shield bash, can heal him. So yeah, he's kind of annoying. This is actually a pretty intense fight. But to stop and give a bit of lore dump, the Dark Lord, whose name is actually Davoth, was the first being created by the Father.
For too long have I been imprisoned by my own creations. You will not stop stop my vengeance, nor the one who betrayed me. Tell him.
He is the first being, and my creator. When he fell, I ascended.
Davith would do anything to take back what the Father created, which is why Hell is always invading. That's actually really cool. But no matter the reason, we end up on the final phase, and it's actually pretty cool.
As all things were made by my hand, so shall they be unmade, starting with you.
I said he summoned some specters in the final phase, but I learned that if you can actually save your BFG, because honestly it's pretty useless against the Dark Lord, you can take him out pretty easily. Also, something I actually learned recently is that using the rocket launcher's lock-on with a mastery mod is actually really fantastic for damage. But after all of that, the Slayer finally defeats Davith in the Igmore Sanctum. As a massive surprise to me when I first played the DLC, the Slayer takes off his helmet, and he does one of the coolest ways to kill off a boss.
Nothing to say to your creator before you strike him down. No.
With that done, the Dark Lord is defeated. His life sphere is broken, and every demon outside of Hell has vanished. But unfortunately, the Divinity Machine, which was the thing that gave the Slayer his strength, and I assume the Dark Lord's energy was used in the machine, takes a toll on the Slayer as he collapses.
By his hand, all things were made. Even you.
The last thing we see is the Slayer being sealed once again by the Seraphs. He will only be awakened once he's needed. I feel like my attitude overall was kind of in the mixed area. The ending though left me with a positive note. That's how I would describe this DLC. A bit of a mixed slash decent opening with an insane and fantastic climax slash ending. But I can see why people were not so positive with this DLC. I don't know if it's because of the story, since I thought everything with the Dark Lord was great, but the addition of the hammer, the level design, the enemy additions, this really felt like it was made for the people who found part 1 incredibly difficult. As for me, I liked the inclusion of the Sentinel hammer, but it felt way too much of a crutch in the end. I think things like the stun works incredibly well as a way to increase a boss's damage with the Marauder, but it should probably also have a short stun to some of the other enemies. Also, the fact that it can drop health and ammo makes the chainsaw sometimes feel kind of useless. Even with that, I thought the Ancient Gods Part 2 was a satisfying finale that makes me really wonder what would the next game be based on. Maybe taking on the beings that made Davith? I don't know. But what I can say is that I cannot wait to see what's next. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. And I'm gonna get real for a second. I am genuinely so surprised with how well the Doom Eternal videos have been received and how many people have actually watched them. Like, right now I'm looking at it, 1.6 thousand views? How? I cannot say how happy I truly am with how this turned out. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do next. Maybe my next set of videos would be Gears of War, since I have a lot to talk about with those games, but whatever happens, I hope to see you there. Anyways, have a great day, everyone.
Have my hammer. Bonk everything you see.